We almost need to go online and do, you know, the show after the show. But I want to come back. Social media. Now, you've been on the show. You've talked about cases where your clients have put things on social media, things that come back to basically bite them in the butt. And now we're seeing a broader impact of social media. What do you tell people now, just in general, about social media?
You know, I am not a proponent of social media, personally and or professionally. I don't, because the problem is, even when you send a text message, you can't get the context, or the context is lost, or the emotion is lost, and you just see the words, and the words are up for interpretation. I tell our clients, when you are charged, when you're being investigated, if you are charged any of those, shut down your social media account. Shut it down. Stop. I'm not telling them to go and destroy the evidence. It's just stop, because people have a tendency to want to scream from the top of the hills their innocence and talk about the case. But Lynn, we get a ton of, in discovery. Discovery is basically the entire universe of items that will be used against your client at trial.
Right.
I can't tell you how there's been an uptick in social media posts that we've received from the DA's office, because their investigators check it out, the DAs themselves will check it out, and they send it to us, whether it's, and I sound like such an old man saying this, and my kids make fun of me, but I won't say but Facebook, Instagram.
Thank you for not saying the Facebook.
Yeah. My kids are somewhere cringing. But Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, we get it all. Literally get it all. In fact, we have a case now that we're working with prosecutors, and we are the ones sending the social media posts from the other person to the prosecutors. So it is an extremely useful tool. I just don't like any surprises when I'm dealing with my clients. So they are forbidden from using social media.
See, that's the thing that always surprises me, because, and even in text messaging, I wonder sometimes if people, it's like, don't you watch CSI or anything? Don't you see that those text messages can come back to haunt you?
Well, yeah, I mean, in the case I'm talking about, in many cases, we've gathered all of that. You know, we're getting subpoenas for the text message records from the phone carriers, because what a person may allege may not reconcile with what they've said in the past through text message. So I think, you know, when I started law school in 2000, Lynn, there was a section about the internet, because it was so darn brand new.
I was going to say, but it wasn't, it's a game changer now.
It's completely, and now moving this forward to text messaging and all this other stuff. I remember when I was in law school, I had a pager, and you know, my wife would page me, I'd go find the payphone, a couple quarters, and call her.
Yeah, find a payphone now,
Oh, please. It's like a dinosaur. But with that said, we just didn't study this in law school, so it's evolved even since I first practicing. And let me tell you something, jurors, they eat it up. They eat it up. They want to see, because it's kind of like the unvarnished, the unpolished. Your lawyer hasn't prepped you what to say on the stand. It's what you were saying in the moment.
Wow. So jurors, and now we kind of come back full circle too, though. We talked earlier about juries and diversity, or the lack thereof, and then a lot of things that are presented in the course of a trial. I mean, even the times I'm in the courtroom, I sit there and I feel like they have no idea what they're talking about.
Well, let me tell you something. I had a case that was all over the news a couple of months ago, and the accuser, victim, whatever you want to call this person, he made a post, a Facebook Live post for 45 minutes, railing out about police officers. I happen to be representing a police officer, calling them names. So our narrative, first of all, we were able to introduce that evidence, because this person made it, showed a picture of himself while he was doing it. He made it, showed the jurors, and that played into us getting a not guilty verdict, because we showed that he had a motivation behind his accusations. He already doesn't like police officers, so that's why he said X, Y, and Z. Without that video, who knows how that trial turns out? With that video, it puts us it puts us where we need to be.
I was going to say, and in that case, the scenario that you're describing, it's a Facebook Live that really had nothing to do with the actual event that happened directly.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with it, but once again, it showed his potential motivation.
It's a context, right.
Yeah, it puts at least, you know, we try to drive the narrative, and our narrative was that this person didn't like police officers. So we say that, and then we couple that with some video that had nothing to do with our guy, but he's saying bad stuff about other police officers. It's kind of like, okay, now we see this guy's motivation. Not guilty, let's go home.
There you go. We got 30 seconds. What is your, I know, don't look at me like that. 30 seconds. What would you say to folks if there was a tip, this is the end of the year, other than don't drink and drive, what would you say?
Man,
Tough question. You know what? We'll take a break.
Yeah, could you
We'll
give us
let
a
him
number?
think about that during the commercial break. We'll get that next when the Lynne Hayes-Freeland Show continues.